Hello my beautiful little pumpkin pies out there, and welcome. In today's video I'm going to be ranking my recent palette purchases. I have 10 here to go over, and trust me, this ranking was so hard to do because there were so many good palettes that I've tried recently, but I'm gonna rank them for this video and give you guys my final thoughts on these palettes. But before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bree and I'm just a crazy lover of all things beauty, and I like to post a lot of fun colorful makeup content. I like to do a lot on indie makeup, so if that's what you're into, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. But with that being said, let's get into this video. Alright my little crumpets, welcome. If you guys are in the US and do celebrate, I do hope you had a great Labor Day weekend, which was last weekend. If you guys saw my most recent video, I think I mentioned that I was going to the beach, which we did. It was a nice little getaway. It ended up raining most of the time, but it's okay. I got to stay in, watch movies, eat some good seafood. It was a good time. But now I'm back, ready to get on the grind, and I was like, you know what? It's time to rank some palettes. I have tried some really good ones recently, so I have 10 here. And this was a very hard ranking. There's a lot of palettes I feel like could be in the same spot, but for the sake of a ranking video, I put it in a certain place. So this is me giving you guys like my final thoughts after I've gotten to try the palettes for some time and do like different looks with it. So this is like my final review on all of them. Now, if I happen to rank something low that you love or something high that you hate, please don't take it personal. This is all based on like my personal preferences when it comes to makeup. And the way I rank these palettes, it could be based on color story, versatility, how often I see myself using it. It could also be a quality thing. You know, it could be a bunch of different factors, and of course I will go over that with you and give you an in-depth review on all of them. So I think we should just jump into this ranking. We're gonna start from the bottom and move our way up to the top. So at the bottom of the ranking, which these two palettes that I'm going to show you are kind of regret purchases. I feel like I bought these on impulse because the theming of the collection was so cute and like the presentation. But the one on the bottom, which is number 10, is this from ColourPop. This is the Shell Shock Pressed Powder Palette. These looked so cute when I first saw them released, and the whole like shell collection was so beautiful, and I was like, you know what, I want it all. So I picked up the palettes in the collection, I picked up the face products, and sadly this did not perform as well as like the other products. Like the face products in that collection was amazing, but this palette right here is very lackluster and kind of on the chalky side. I'll show you guys up close. I did use all of these palettes, I believe, in a video. I'm pretty sure I did. I'll link all those videos below if you want to see more and see me create looks with them. But this is just ashy, okay? There's not a lot of pigmentation to these mattes. It was overall very light, and I feel like in the photos, like when this was released, it looked darker to me, at least in my eyes it did. But overall, this is so light, so chalky. The mattes don't have good pigmentation. The shimmers are also very lackluster. They're not really doing it for me. There's some Super Shocks, and I was expecting more. I mean, the Super Shocks are pretty. They're more like shadow toppers, but I don't know. I was just really disappointed. I don't think this is the usual like good quality formula from ColourPop. I do feel like this is lacking, and I feel like this palette would only really work very well if you had a very pale skin tone because it's lacking pigment and so light, and I was really disappointed. I mean, these two little Super Shock shadows that are in here are really pretty, but besides that, the rest of the palette to me is a dud. And then the next palette is the other one that's in the collection, but it has a little bit more depth. It's a little bit easier for me to use, and this is the What the Shell palette. This is a more nudie palette, and it's cute. I'm gonna say it's cute. It's perfect for nude lovers. It's more peachy, a little bit more warm. I do feel like I can get my look a little deeper with this one because this matte brown is deeper than like any of the other mattes in like that blue palette. And normally on a normal day, if the quality was really good in this one, I probably would have gone over for this one because it has more cool tones and blues, but because it's so chalky, this one ended up winning because I feel like the pigmentation is better in this one, but it's still not meeting like my total preference. I do feel like I have to build up the shades in here and really try to, you know, get it to build up to full pigment. I think the shimmers are okay. I mean, I like most of all like the Super Shocks, but this one right here is kind of dusty, like chalky. I mean, they're just lacking pigment and shine, and it's just too nudie overall. So I feel like I'm not going to end up really using these. I feel like I need to give this to someone who has like super light skin, that I feel like these would pull more pigmented on them. But these are both definitely regret purchases, but I do not regret picking up the like cheek palette that they did and the highlighter palette. Those were banging. I should have just picked those up and skipped these. I don't know what I was thinking. So the rest of the palettes in this ranking are all really good. I'm gonna put that out there right now. And this is where I really struggled in this ranking and had to like really think about it. I'm like, what is my preference? Where would I really put this if I'm comparing it to one another? And I made a decision, but just know if something's a little lower, don't take it as a bad palette. These are all really good. So the next palette in the ranking is the Nomad Cosmetics Fête de Provence palette, which is actually what is on my eyes. I filmed this for Instagram and I love how it turned out. It should already be up there. If you're not following me on my Instagram pages, I'm Breezy Lifestyle, where I do lifestyle and travel stuff, and then Breezy_beauty. That's where I post other makeup content and where this look will be. So if you want to join my Instagram fam, I would really, really love that. And if you're, you know, curious on how this came out, I'm very happy with it. But overall, I think it's a really pretty palette. It's so springy. I love the packaging. I love the color story. It has a big mirror. It's just so fun and so springy, and I love how they divided it in monochromatic rows. The only thing with Nomad Cosmetics is their mattes are more on the buildable end. They're not super pigmented. You kind of have to layer them up to get, you know, full color payoff from them. And I do feel like the pastels in here are very sheer, like this white one and these ones right here. You have to really try to build them up. And normally I like my pastels to be, you know, super pigmented so I can use them as like inner corner highlights or pops on the lids, but these ones really struggle to do that. Even when I lay a white base down, they're still too sheer. Like I have this in the inner corner and have to lay like a very light eye primer to try to get this to pop, and I still feel like it doesn't pop as much as I would like it to, and other like pastel yellows that I have in my collection. So overall, I feel like the pastels are just a little too sheer for my liking, but I think the metallics in here are really pretty. Some are dual chromes. I love this yellow one. It has kind of like a greeny shift to it. These are like super glittery, and everything is beautiful. Like these mattes are really nice. I like that there was one shade you could deepen up the look with. So overall, it's really pretty. There's just some things that weren't like my personal preference when it comes to this palette, and that's why it's, you know, ranked where it is. Then the next palette, which I think is actually a really good quality palette. I don't think I had any issues. I just think there's like things I like in the other palettes above it more. But this is the Adept Cosmetics 1-Up palette. This is so cute. I think this is adorable. I love the 80s vibe. Like the whole theming is so fun. And I think the color story is actually really beautiful in here. And I do like how they matched up the colors. And the shimmers here are so pretty and sparkly. Now, some of them lean a little bit more like satin. Like this one's a little bit more satiny. This one right here, but like these two are like extra sparkly. I love them. I'll show you because up close. And some of these are neons and they are very bright and have good pigmentation. Like this is like very poppy and bright. This is very poppy, and I love that there's depth in here. Just the other palettes had like either metallics I loved more or like more color options, and that's why, you know, they were ranked above this. But overall, I think this is a beautiful, cute little collection from Adept Cosmetics, and I'm so happy that I have this. I created 2 looks on my channel with this. I also did a look on Instagram, and I loved how all of them turned out. Then the next palette in the ranking is the Bunnies Cosmetics Primal palette, and I put this up higher because it has more color options. It's a little bit more versatile. There's so much I can do with this palette, and I do think the quality is really nice in here. I love these 2 rows of mattes, like all the depth, all these beautiful mid-tones. I love the jewel tone metallics that are in here. I love their metallic formula. Now I know some people say their metallics crease in them. I haven't had that issue. I think they're really beautiful and foiled. Now, the only thing with this palette is I do feel like this row of pastels are on the sheer side. Like, you have to put down a like white base to really get these to pop. I just wish that they had a little bit more pigment to them, and I know it's hard to formulate pastels, but there are some pastels that I've used that are just so intense and poppy, and I feel like these are just a little bit more on the sheer side. Same thing with the white. So that's the only thing. And I do wish that there was maybe like a lighter metallics in here. Like, maybe if all of these were like pastel metallics, maybe that would have been like more for me, like in terms of what I like when it comes to makeup. Or maybe even this be like a metallic like topper. I think that would have been cool instead of some of these more sheer pastels. But overall, I do really enjoy this palette, and I think it's beautiful, and I think it definitely adds to my collection. That was just the only thing I noticed, but overall, it's a good palette. Then the next palette in the ranking, which is a lot smaller than the Primal palette and has less options, but the metallics in here are out of this world. They're banging, they're beautiful, they're intense, they're everything I love when it comes to metallic. But this is the House of Ale palette from Adept Cosmetics. This is so beautiful and fiery and intense. I've loved the looks that I've been able to create with this, and I do feel like the mattes are really nicely pigmented and super blendable in here. But these shades right here, oh, they're so beautiful to incorporate with like any other palette to use on your own. Like, I have to swatch these because they're just so freaking gorgeous. Now, I feel like these swatches aren't even gonna do it justice, but some of these are like shifty shades, dual chrome, multi-chromes. I'll swatch right here. You're gonna see these are so amazing, and honestly, these swatches aren't gonna do it justice. It really isn't. Like, these are like shadows you just have to see in person to really appreciate how beautiful they are. Like, they're just so sparkly, intense, and gorgeous, and I just love Adept Cosmetics. Like, everything they come out with, I want, because I know their shimmers are just gonna blow my mind away. And then going on to the next palette, which is from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is the Bunnies palette. This is the perfect spring palette. It is so good. They did such a good job with this color story. Like, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Also, the packaging is stunning, but I think they did such an amazing job with their pastels. This is a very pigmented formula. You don't have to use a white base to get these to really like have good pigmentation. Like, look at that. They're so poppy for being pastel shades. Some of the metallics in here have shifts to them, like dual chromes. They're beautiful. This green is super sparkly and intense. I just love this. Now, this is overall a lighter palette. It's more on the springy pastel side. I do feel like I have to like incorporate palettes with darker shades because I do like some depth. But if I want to do a more pastel springy palette, I could totally use this on its own. And it's gorgeous. It's stunning. And by far, to me, like my most favorite spring palette, like pastel palette that I have in my collection. Just such a banger. I mean, Unearthly Cosmetics has never disappointed me with their products. They're always so good. And then the next palette is from Glamlite. This is the Michaela palette pot 2. So good. Michaela and Glamlite did an amazing job. I feel like this really complements the first palette that they came out with. But this is totally up my alley. Like, this is all that I love when it comes to shadows. Greens, purples, and blues. Like, those are the main colors that I wear in my eyes. So I love this one even more than the first one, because the first one had some neutrals mixed in, and this is so much more what I like. There's some grunge in here. There's this beautiful like mattes. Like, these blues are stunning. They're pigmented, they're blendable, had no issues. And I also really love the Glamlite formula. Like, they're so smooth and sparkly. Now, they're not necessarily like dual chrome shifty shades, but they're very sparkly and beautiful on the lids, and all of them just pair so well together. I also love this green row. I mean, I love everything about this palette. I think it's so good, performs so well, such a banging palette. I am very happy with this. I had no issues. I've loved everything that I've been able to do with this, and I love using it alongside the other palette because they just pair so nicely together. Then number 2 in the ranking, which this is also a amazing spring palette, and I think it's so beautiful and special. And this is the ItsBel Cosmetics Cool Summer Palette. Now they did send this to me, but this is not the reason why it's high up there, okay? This is all my opinion. I adore this palette. I am so blown away at their matte formula. This is the first time they've had mattes in a palette, and they were so good. Like on their first try, they got it right. Like they're pigmented, they're blendable. Even these pastels are super pigmented, even way more pigmented than Nomad Cosmetics. Like they came out with a matte formula and it was already perfection. Like I just think it's so good. I love that there's this beautiful olive shade in here. And then these metallics are gorgeous, and that's where ItsBel really shines, is with their metallics. Some of them are so shifty. Like look at this. Look at that. Oh my god, look at that dual chrome. Isn't that sexy? Like just shimmers do it for me. And then this blue one here, like this light sky blue that has like a violet shift. Come on, like this speaks for itself. They're just so good. I just want to swatch all of them. I did also, you know, do looks with this, like a whole review video, as well as a look on my Instagram, and all of them came out so nice. Like, look at those. They're so beautiful. The mattes, maybe I should swatch some mattes so you guys can see, like these two pastel-y ones. I'm like, how do they do it so well on their first try? Like, can they do anything wrong? Like, look at that. Minty heaven right there. But yes, this is super, super good. I adore. Think it's a really good one. They did such a good job with this. Then number one on the ranking, the one that ruled them all, the one that stole my heart and made it to the number one spot, is the Unearthly Cosmetics All I Ever Wanted Volume 2 palette. This is a big palette full of just special metallics. Dual chromes, multi-chromes, super high foiled, intense shimmery shades, and that is my weakness. Metallics that are just special and intense. And anytime a palette has those kind of metallics, I'm gonna go to it. I'm okay with doing all metallic eye looks. That is just what I prefer. I'd rather have a good metallic than a good matte. I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but that is what I prefer. So I'll show you guys up close. And then inside, I did a whole video where I swatched these all out on camera for you guys, did up close, like showing you guys the shifts and everything. I'll link that below. I'll put it in the corner if you want to see more. And I did a look with this, but do you see this sexiness? Do you see this? And it has a lot of greens, which I love greens and purples. But of course, I'm going to swatch a couple of them because you have to see, like Secret is super foiled and just intense. And oh, I don't know, I could just swatch all of them. Then it has like this really deep blackened like gray shade. Oh, do you guys see that? Do you see that? Where should I swatch them? I'll put them here. Like, look at that. Now that has a little bit of follow, but come on, can you deny that? Can you deny that sexiness right there? Oh geez, they're so buttery and foiled and gorgeous, and I can just use this alongside so many palettes. Like if I just want to pull in some special shades, I can pull this palette and pair it with so many other things because there's just so many options, and they're just stunning. Like if you need to take your look to the next level, this palette will do the job. Now this palette is on the pricey side. It goes for $86, but these kind of metallics are very expensive to formulate, like multi-chromes. So that's why it has a higher price tag, but I still think you save in the end, because if you bought these kind of shadows from like any indie brand or high-end brand, they're gonna cost you like $20 a shade, and you get a bunch of them in this palette for $86. So I think you're winning with this. Even though it's pricier, I think it's so worth it. Like if these are the kind of shades you like to wear, you like special metallics, and this is what you like when it comes to makeup, you're totally gonna love this and get your money's worth out of it. But I mean, if you're a matte person, then maybe it wouldn't be worth it to you. But that was number one in my ranking. It's so beautiful. I absolutely adore that palette. And I think overall, all of these are great palettes. The only ones that had serious quality issues that I would not recommend are the ColourPop ones. But all of the other ones I would recommend if there's something that you like in terms of color story and, you know, like how I describe them. But you guys will have to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Were you surprised by my ranking? Would you put these in different places? Like, what are your most loved or even most hated palettes that you've tried this year? I would love to hear from all of y'all. And if you're new here and you enjoyed this video, you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, a lot on indie makeup, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I'd love to have you here. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will have all the palettes linked where you can find them, any videos I did on any of these palettes if you want to see more on them. I will also link my makeup in case you're curious on what I am wearing on my face. I will also have my contact and my social media platforms. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_Beauty. So if you want to check me out over there, see how I created that look, definitely join my Instagram fam. I would really love that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here and taking some time out of your day to hang out with me for a little bit. I really appreciate it, and I just hope you guys are doing well wherever you are in the world, and I'm just sending you all so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.